these transgressions.
But as it is now, no case against any of them.
The fact that you are unable to convict a person who has been arraigned before a court for the death of an identifiable corpse doesn't mean there was no murder. It could mean, very well, it could mean that you were unable to prove beyond doubt.
Let me understand what you're trying to say. If there's murder,
yes, and there is a corpse,
who decides if indeed the party is guilty of something or not? Isn't it the court that will say so? Because if you take your cases to court and you can't prove it, what do the public then say?
You asked a question and I responded by that very apt example. Okay. If your vehicle was moving at a high speed on an express road where you expected to maintain some speed limit, and suddenly, without any mistake of yours, somebody runs across, and as much as you could apply the brake, but it was too late. The body drops dead, the corpse is there, the evidence is there to show that you knocked him down. And you were able to mitigate what would have been an outright murder to manslaughter on account of the fact that there are clearly mitigating circumstances. And you're able to prove that you never had intention, neither did you deliberately proceed to kill that person. And instead of the conviction for murder, you are giving manslaughter. Will it mean that somebody did not die?
Does that translate, for instance? How do you translate
guilty?
This one? That you're guilty, for instance? Yes. That's my question.
So the point I therefore make is that the fact that some of the judges, or the cases against the judges, the prosecution was unable to secure conviction as expected, does not mean that the whole story of corruption in the judiciary has evaporated.
No, it's a tricky one.
The reason I say that, and please, I need to land on this, is that even before this, as far back as late 90s, early 2000s, we've had judges of very sound reputation in this country. After a committee panel sitting, coming out with documents to lampoon the judiciary, that there is serious corruption in the judiciary.
How do you clear that corruption?
Sorry?
How do you clear that corruption?
The processes have started. It has not concluded. I mean, it is gratifying to hear that there is an appeal in some of these cases.
In many of the other cases, they haven't brought any case against them.
Oh well, I think that the pressure should be on the executive.
Almost a year.
The pressure should be on the executive too, because like you did see and hear the NJC complain, it is that after so long, when you expected to have proceeded against the same people you claim are corrupt, you did nothing. And we cannot just leave it there without responding.
We'll come back and let you conclude your thoughts in just a moment. Don't go away. Welcome back. So let's take our concluding questions from Malachy.
Well, just before we went on break, you touched on one of the parts I wanted us to touch on, which is the fact that not all the judges are currently being prosecuted. You mentioned the fact that for the cases in court, the NJC did leave those judges out of it. It is the cases that were never even invited, prosecuted in the court, as it were, 8 months after the raid on the homes of the judges. How would you have advised, if the NJC felt that the cases were getting too long out of court, how would you have advised that the NJC went out of it without perhaps recalling the judges as it has?
No, I mean, I think those are the clear, isolated cases that must be properly put in context. Given the national sensitization that went to the preliminary actions against those judicial officers, one would have expected that by now we would have even seen most of these cases concluded, even if they went to full trial. That it didn't happen, and that excuses are still being given, which is perhaps what I'm reading on the pages of newspaper, that the NJC had waited, believing that by now they would have known the fate of these suspended judges. And when it didn't happen, it falls within their purview to also take steps, at least, to restore the position of these judicial officers, pending when the judiciary is prepared with the case that they claim that they have. I mean, pending when the executive is prepared with the case that they claim they have against them. So on that score, you can understand. I mean, because quite frankly, the presumption of innocence of these judges are still there under the Constitution. And if you have asked a judge who is sitting to cease on account of the allegations against him, that in itself is already punitive as a punishment. And therefore, that punishment cannot endure or continue for eternity. There must be a point when but this leads me to the bigger question, I mean the bigger concern that some of us have. In
conclusion, please.
And this is in conclusion. It is that it's not only with the judiciary. This present government seems to have issues with all the other arms of government. I mean, you could see the very frosty relationship between the executive and the legislature, one that is not going away. And you could see, like I have just told you when we went on break, that, look, my last article is captioned, "Power will soon lie on the streets again." Because the kind of coordination and communication network that ought to glue a government together, talking about the arms, is totally absent. Now, that power is not in APC, because APC has risen as the greatest opposition to APC. The power is not in PDP. PDP is completely decimated. Yes. By the time the strategic officers in the main positions of government are already attacking the policies of the government and undermining the progress of those policies, they have become the effective opposition to themselves. The people themselves are demobilized. So power, according to section 14 subsection 2B, is not within the people. It's not even in the military. So power, like in 1993, is likely going to lie on the streets again.
That's where we anchor. We appreciate your coming on this morning. Malachy, a legal practitioner. And that's the show today as well. We thank you all for watching. We'll see you next time. I'm Chamberlain.
Thanks for watching. I am Gimba Umar.
Thank you. I'm Maokbe Ogun.